anyone's party, it's for salad. Please, can you make this salad? Please, can you make that salad? Can you teach me how to make that salad? And I'm fine with that. I love making salad. So today, we're doing the arugula salad with feta. So I already checked my arugula. I used a 5-ounce package, which is about this size. So if you see them in the store, they're easy to pick up. If you don't like arugula, you can change to baby spinach or spring mix. It's all up to you. Okay, so first things first, you get a big bowl and you put your arugula in the bowl, obviously. You add your tomatoes. This is about 25 little grape tomatoes. I like to use multicolored ones because they are fun to look at and they make the whole salad all bright and pretty. They don't taste any different. You could use the red ones if you like. It's all up to you. Next, I add sliced olives. Everyone can see. You can use Kalamata, you can use green, you can use black, all up to you. Any kind of olive, you can even leave them out. Some people don't like olives, it's fine. I mix them. So I add them in. I also do about half of a regular sized red onion. If you can see, it's like, it's not really half moon, it's more like half of a half moon slice. So, just chop them up any which way you want, and you can just make them as big or as small. If I'm going too fast, please let me know. You can text anything in the chat. I'll try to answer any questions you have about what I'm doing, or if there's any, like something, if you want me to repeat something, no problem. Also, if you didn't get the recipe and you want the actual recipe, please email slcladiesaux@gmail.com. Someone will put it in the chat now in case anybody doesn't, remember the email. Hi, Raquel. And we'll continue. You also can put in this salad sunflower seeds. I like sunflower seeds over croutons only because it gives you the crunch and it's less fattening than the others. So you can use sunflower seeds, is what I normally use. But if you don't have sunflower seeds, you can also use pepita seeds. So I'm going to add my sunflower seeds. Once I've added everything of all those ingredients besides the feta cheese, I start with my dressing. Now, you can do dressing 2 ways. You can mix everything into a closed container and shake, or you can eyeball how much you want to put, because some people like a little bit more, a little bit less. For this salad, I like to eyeball things. So I would add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, za'atar spice. This is what it looks like if anyone doesn't know already. It's about 1 tablespoon of za'atar spice for this salad. A little bit of lemon juice. So this is about, I would say, juice of 1 lemon or a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, either or. And 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now you mix the salad before you actually add the feta cheese, because feta looks prettier when it's on top of the salad, and not everybody likes to have too much feta on their salad. It's more like a preference. You could also serve this without feta, and I'll show you how you could serve it without feta too. Hold on 1 second. Make sure it's really mixed well. you now what I do to make the variations to this salad. I'm gonna serve it into 3 different bowls so you could see what it would look like. So the original recipe, you're adding the feta cheese. And again, because it's pretty, we're sprinkling on a little bit of za'atar. And there you have your arugula feta cheese salad. If you don't like feta cheese, is another option. You can take sliced avocados, throw them on. Again, a little bit of za'atar. And now you have another salad without the feta. If you don't like avocado for whatever reason, I like to use in my salads spiced up chickpeas. You can basically saute chickpeas with za'atar, olive oil, kamut, whatever you feel like, whatever spices you do like, and you could throw it on there too. And there you have it. This one is more protein packed. So if anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat and I'm going to try to answer as many as I can. Now. Okay, I guess nobody has any questions. Anyways, like I said, if you want a copy of this recipe, please email SLC Ladies AUX@gmail.com and we will email it back to you and the ingredient list for tomorrow. Tomorrow, Claudia and Nina do another demo.
Let's go. We're eating. Okay, take one. The chicken.
Someone. And Wednesday, we're going to have Stephanie Shemtov. She's going to make a cheesecake, red velvet cheesecake. And Olga's going to teach us how to make margarita, a really fancy one. So if you really want to learn how to make a cool mixed drink, I would recommend you get into that chat. Also, on Thursday, we're doing a live challah bake, where we're going to do hafrashat challah. So please email us your, refuah shlema so that we can have them in mind when we're doing the beracha and the beracha party hosted by Esther Hayun, Rabbi Hayun's wife. Can I explain the chickpeas? Okay, so my chickpeas, I like to either saute them or roast them as Daniela recommended. You spice them up, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of za'atar, some kamun, some paprika. You mix it all together. You can leave them in the refrigerator like this if you want, if you make too much, and you just throw them onto your salads. It's super easy. Anyone else have a question before I hand it to Nina? Okay. Anyways, it was great sharing my recipe with you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the demos. Thank you so much. Let me find Nina.
me? Unmute me. Okay, okay, apparently I am unmuted now. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're super excited to be doing this. My name is Nina Dahan. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a registered dietitian, and this is what I do, culinary nutrition. So when they asked me to do this demo, I was super excited because I feel like vegetables are one of these things that we tend to forget about. On Shavuot, we're so caught up with the dairy that we forget that we should put other things on the table, like perhaps some vegetables. So there are 2 recipes that I'm going to work with you today. And if any of you are cooking along, great. If not, you can certainly ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions in between. Perhaps Becky can read me the questions as we go along so I don't have to keep touching my screen. So the first thing I'm going to make today is caramelized cabbage in a tomato sauce. I like vegetables that are fast, that are easy, that don't require too many pots and pans because nobody has time to clean, and we want something that's fast and easy and that's going to give us a nice nutritional boost. So if you have the recipe, as Becky said, please ask us, email us, and we'll send you out these recipes. The first thing with the caramelized cabbage and tomatoes is you need an oven-proof dish, and I'm going to mix everything straight in the dish so that I save a little bit of time. We are going to put the tomato paste, goes straight in the dish. I love using tomato paste. First of all, the flavor is so much more intense and so much more concentrated than regular tomato sauce, but you can actually use tomato sauce in this if you don't have tomato paste handy, haven't gone out, haven't found it in the stores right now. Tomato sauce does work. Tomato paste is much more concentrated in flavor, but it's also much more concentrated in nutrients and lycopene, which we need for our eyes and for our hearts. So nothing wrong with a little bit of tomato paste to boost our eyes. Along with the tomato paste, I'm going to add straight into my Pyrex some cumin, some ground coriander, optional chili pepper flakes. I like spicy. My fam likes spicy. So I would say about 1/4 teaspoon is moderate chili pepper flake. If you really like it intense, you do you go as high as you want on the spice level. I'm going to put that in my dish. Yes.
How much tomato paste, someone's asking?
So it calls for 1/2 cup, which is almost a small can. So the small cans are 6 ounces. So we're talking about 4 ounces. So most of the can, but if you use the whole can, really, why not? The more the merrier, though, I say. So that goes into the dish. So does the crushed garlic. The neat thing about crushed garlic, I'm sure a lot of you have heard that garlic is really great for supporting our immunity and for heart health. The way to get the most heart protection out of your garlic is to chop it or to crush it, and then to let it sit 5-10 minutes. And that lets the allicin, those heart healthy nutrients, develop, and we get at least more nutritional value out of the garlic that we are eating. So the crushed garlic, everything goes into the Pyrex. I'm going to mix it up a little bit just to combine. You should add salt. Salt is to taste, not to make it salty, but to taste. So I use kosher salt. I like that flavor a lot better than the iodized salt. So I used about a teaspoon here, but it is to taste. Salt is one of those things that we acquire a taste for. So when someone has high blood pressure and they're trying to reduce their salt intake, it's something that we do gradually so that your taste buds get used to less salt. So salt to taste, really up to you. I would say about a teaspoon here. we're going to add straight into the Pyrex. Again, we're not playing with any extra pots and pans to wash up. Nobody has time for that. So I'm gonna add water here. Are there any other questions, Becky?
Yes. Someone's asking, is the nutritional value from garlic the same when you cook it?
With the allicin, yes. With most of the things actually in garlic that give us the nutritional value, you do destroy some of the allicin when you cook it, but we still get plenty of value out of it. So really, that's a great question. A lot of people ask me what's better, raw or cooked. So it depends on the fruit or the vegetable. Some vegetables are better. We get more nutritional value when we cook it versus when it's raw, especially tomato paste, by the way. The more you cook it, the more lycopene develops, that vitamin A that's great for our eyes. So that's one of these great nutrients that the more you cook this. So what I've done is I've added water to my Pyrex, and I think I'm going to add a little bit more. So the water should be about half, till it reaches about halfway in your Pyrex. I'm just going to add a drop more. I guess how much water you have depends on the Pyrex. Because we're going to lay the cabbages straight in the Pyrex, my suggestion, learn from my mistakes, is to lay out your cabbages before so that you know that your Pyrex is going to fit all your cabbage. There's nothing more annoying than putting in your tomato sauce and putting in your cabbages and you have leftover cabbage and you don't know what to do with it. So try and gauge how much, then transferring it into another plate and making more mess. We're trying not to make mess. So yeah, if you just want to lay out your cabbages approximately so you have a sense of how they're going to fit in this pan. So this is all mixed. This is very, very easy, very fast. It's almost ready to go. I did want to show you how I made the cabbages. So I'll show you how to cut the cabbage. For this recipe, you're going to cut the cabbage in eighths. So wash the cabbage, peel off the outer layers. If you have one of those beautiful cabbages that come from the farmer's market and it has those lovely dark green leaves on the outside, they're full of nutrients. They're very delicious. Throw them in a soup. They're not going to work very well over here. So peel out the outer layers of that cabbage, wash the cabbage, and you're going to just trim just a little bit of the end of the cabbage, and you cut it. This is only half a cabbage, obviously. You cut it in half. Then, can you guys see? Yep. You're going to cut it in half again. So now, assume there are two halves. So we have 4 pieces. Just pretend the other half is sitting over here that you can't see. And then we want to make sure that we're cutting through the core. We need to keep the core because this is what's going to hold the cabbage together and make it look really cute once it gets into our baking sheet. So through the core, watching your fingers with a very sharp knife, and you're going to cut that in half. So you basically have, from each cabbage, you're going to get 8 pieces. And because you have left the core, when you pick it up, it stays together, it doesn't fall apart. And then you're going to pan fry each one. So I did do these earlier just in the interest of time so that you could see what I did. And I'm going to do the last one to show you how I get them to look like this. And I will even move my camera because, okay, so let me move my camera here so you could see the stove. Okay, I think you could see there. Hot pan, we want that really nice and hot. And we will.
Nina, does this work on purple cabbage?
It does work on purple cabbage. Purple cabbage is going to give you a lot more anthocyanins, different nutrient value compared to green cabbage because of the color. Anytime you see more color in your vegetables, you're going to get different nutrients in your vegetables because it's the vitamins that give our vegetables their color. So red cabbage, I think, will look very nice in this. keep in mind you are going to be baking this after it's done. So it's not going to stay as purple by the time it finishes. I like the contrast personally between the green and the red on the platter. It looks nice at the table, but you could certainly use any cabbage. I would not suggest Napa cabbage because that's very watery. And when you pan fry it, it's just going to get soggy. It's not going to give you that caramelization that you're looking for. Okay, so I think my pan is hot enough. I will put, I mean, the recipe calls for a tablespoon. Who measures oil, right? Olive oil in the pan. And I actually started this one earlier, but I did want to show you how I do this. So this is going to sit and sizzle on the pan and get a little bit brown. So it will brown even more in the oven once it's baking. But to get that nice little caramelization going on the cabbage, it gets sweeter. It has a little bit of an oniony flavor. And also with cabbage, that's another one of those vegetables, when we cook it, we are going to get a little bit more nutritional value out of it. The lutein in cabbage breaks down a little bit with the heat. And then the oil, the olive oil, helps us absorb more of that lutein. So we have this cabbage just very nicely sizzling away. And I'm going to shoot a little bit. I'm going to just flip it over. And you see, because I have the core, it just flips over quite easily. I move the handle out of the way. And you get a nice caramelization going. And when that's a little bit brown on each side, take it off the pan. I would suggest doing this in batches. Don't crowd your pan too much. Otherwise, it's just hard to maneuver and then they fall apart. Life gets complicated enough without having to put back together like a puzzle, the cabbage. All right, I'm going to take that off the heat so I could show you how I'm going to put this together. So these are the cabbages I made earlier, and this is my Pyrex. And I'm going to do something that makes me cringe sometimes. I'm just going to do this to clean this up. And now my cabbage, each one is going to go, and yes, it might fall apart and you might lose a couple of little pieces, but that's totally okay. Let's do this. We're going to put the cabbage in the Pyrex. And then what happens is you're going to cover it up. You've preheated your oven to about 350, 375, depending on how your oven works. But we'll line this up very nicely. So I'm missing a piece from over there, of course. So this is my cabbage in the pan. This gets covered, goes in the oven. After about 15 minutes, uncover it, and then leave it in the oven another half hour or so. And what you'll see is the tomato sauce on the bottom gets very concentrated, and the cabbages start to get caramelized, and they cook down, and they get much softer. And then after about half an hour, pull it out of the oven. You can serve this at room temperature. You could serve it straight out of the oven. We like to eat this at room temperature. It's very pretty, even, with the purple or with the green. When you serve it, just sprinkle some fresh herbs on top. It gives a nice little vibrancy, a nice little bit of extra color to your plate. And it goes really well with yogurt on the side. Something about the warmth of the cabbage, of the sweetness of the cabbage and the warmth of the dish with cold yogurt goes very, very nicely together. So that's the cabbage with the tomato sauce, the melt in your mouth cabbage with the tomato sauce. It really does melt in your mouth after it's cooked and baked in the oven. A great dish. You saw how easy, you saw how fast. Really, the only thing that might take time is browning those cabbage pieces. But super easy. We used one dish in which we baked and one pan, no extra washing up to do. I'll move this to the side and get the other dish. Becky, any questions while I'm setting up?
Can you make it the day before?
Yes, 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 yes. This is a great dish to make the day before. I wouldn't freeze this because the cabbage gets a little bit waterlogged when you defrost it. So it's not as, it doesn't have that sweetness or that caramelization when you freeze it and defrost it. But you can make this 2 or 3 days in advance and keep it in the fridge covered, warm it up in the oven, or even just bring it to room temperature and serve it at room temperature. It's a lovely dish to go on the side of any fish, or even if you're serving it without the yogurt, of course, to have it on the side dish with a meat meal. It's really a nice option. Super easy, super fast. Now, the other thing I'm going to show you is cauliflower in a lemon zest and parsley and garlic. I don't even remember what we called this officially, but it's one of those easy dishes that look beautiful on the table that apparently there's a restaurant in the city that does something like this, but you could do this really, really easy. The only thing that takes time with this is that just to cut up the cauliflower. I would really suggest fresh cauliflower for this dish. So with the cauliflower and lemon zest, okay, while my pan is heating up, I'm going to bring you back over here to see, without burning my tripod, to see what I've got going on in the kitchen here. So the cauliflower we are going to cut into approximately even pieces. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be exactly the same. You don't need to get your ruler out. My goal is always to make vegetables as easy and as fun as possible. So if it's going to stress you out that they're all exactly the same, just chop away so that they're about 1/2 inch pieces. I personally find it very therapeutic, but not everyone agrees with me. So I have divided a whole head of cauliflower. It was about a medium-sized cauliflower. I've divided that into florets, and I'm going, my hands are clean. So they are about, oops, there one goes in, they're about 1/2 an inch big. And they, as I said, they don't all have to be the same. When you're cooking with cauliflower, Becky, we're going to take a poll. How many of you guys throw away the core? Just out of curiosity, show of hands, just add it to the chat. Yeah, I see hands like, yeah, you throw this away. This, by the way, first of all, I feel like this past couple of months, we've been a little bit more careful with food waste. I think because we're not going out as shopping as much as we used to, we're really thinking very carefully about food waste. But this is super high in fiber. You could chop this up or shred it in a food processor, add it to a coleslaw, or you could just chop it up and throw it in a soup. Don't throw it out. Nutrients are in there. You're getting plenty of fiber in this part of the cauliflower. What a shame to throw that out. What I did with the little florets, I just slice them up. So that goes in, that's gonna go in the pan also. So we have the cauliflower, we have the garlic, also crushed, which I have left to sit. Again, for the Allison, for our heart health, we let that sit. We have the fresh parsley. Cauliflower is great. I mean, it's become so versatile now with the rices and the pizzas and all the millions of things we could make with cauliflower. Personally, I just like cauliflower as cauliflower. What happened to just eating a cauliflower as it is? If you're not a fan of cauliflower, this might convert you. So with the cauliflower, we are going to drop, oh, I forgot my oil. So the pan is nice and hot, And we are going to put some oil, about a tablespoon, depending on how big your pan is, of oil. So that's going to go in here. Going to just move you guys back a little bit so you could see what's going on here. Okay, now this is going to be a test of your patience. So this is where I'm going to drop all the cauliflower in here, and it is going to start to sizzle a little bit. And this is where you just hands up in the air, step back, give it a chance for the hot surface of the pan to make contact with that cauliflower and start to brown. That if you keep stirring and playing around with these as they're on the hot pan, it's just going to take so much longer than it needs to. So this is a point where you can do something else, check out a little bit on Instagram, see what's going on with your friends on WhatsApp, give it a try. Yes.
So how high is the flame, and can you use frozen cauliflower?
So I guess you can. I don't like frozen cauliflower for this because again, it gets a little bit soggy. This is going to make a really nice side dish. You could. I mean, if you really don't have time or it's just too much of a headache to clean, then go with the frozen. If you are doing frozen, defrost it first. Let all the extra ice, all the extra water drain out, pat it dry even a little bit. And I have my heat here on medium. If these were frozen, I would definitely have the heat on much higher, so that it does get a chance to caramelize and get a little bit of brown and crispiness going on. So that's taken about 5 minutes. Let me give that a quick stir and show you what we've got. So it's starting to brown. It's starting to smell delicious. Cauliflower is a really great source of vitamin C. We often think of citrus just being a good source of vitamin C, but cauliflower really is nicely loaded in vitamin C. And because we're not using water here to cook it, we're just using heat with a little bit of oil. We're not sucking up all that vitamin C and throwing it out. It's staying within the vegetable. Okay, so I gave that a little stir. Now I'm going to test my patience, put down my spoon, and give it a chance to brown a little bit more. So this is a chance for me to actually zest my lemons. So once this has browned, I will add the garlic, the parsley, and some salt. And after, I will add my lemon. So a couple of ways you could do this. You could use a vegetable peeler to peel just, oh, it fell in there. Okay, there you go. We got a little bit of head with the lemon. To peel just the top layer of the lemon. So you just have a little thin sliver of lemon, and then we can julienne that. So with a small knife, not the big massive knife, unless you're super skilled in the kitchen, with a small knife, we will, not sure you could see it, but I'm going to just make some very little strips from this. I'm going to bring it over and show you. So we just have a few little strips of lemon, and that's one way that we could do this. Perhaps even smaller strip, and that's going to go on the end. Or we could use a microplane. This is probably one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. This works great with garlic, crushed garlic. It's fabulous. Ginger, great. Before I do this, I see this smoking. You see, we tested our patience, and I got to chat a little bit too much, and we're just going to give that a little bit of a stir. Now, if you see that your cauliflower is just not cooking as fast as you would want it, perhaps maybe just get ready for some steam. Maybe we'll just add a little bit of steam here. And after that cooks a little bit, I'm going to put a drop of water. I think I just cut the florets a little bigger than I normally did. And just in the interest of time, I'll give that a quick little steam so I can show you what it looks like done. And after I add a little steam, I'm just going to do a little bit more drizzle of oil. The cauliflower also has, it's just like the cabbage, it's a cruciferous vegetable. It really gives us a lot of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory phytonutrients, plant chemicals, and it's really a great vegetable. That even though it's white, and we say eat the rainbow of vegetables, even though it is white, it really does have a lot of nutritional value. So that's starting to get brown, and I think this is where I'm going to add my garlic. So that smells so delicious. Now, who does not love the smell of cooking garlic? My parsley is going to go in here. I'm going to give that another mix on the pan. The colors here are so pretty. Parsley is also a great source of vitamin C, and the oil helps us absorb more of the nutrients out of the parsley. Okay, smells awesome. And the garlic is puffing away. A little sprinkle of salt. I switch off the heat now. And then, because I don't want to waste a drop of lemon, I'm going to zest this with the microplane straight onto my pan. Just the smell of the garlic and the citrus together. Really, it's very, very fresh. This is something you could also make in advance, but leave the lemon zest for when, just right before you serve it, to get that really nice citrusy, summery freshness out of it. Okay, plenty of zest here. The pan is off, but my pan is still sizzling away. It's really hot. I'll give that a quick mix. And I think you can see what we've got going over here. And why not? I'll throw in my little bits of julienne lemon zest on top. And you have another super fast, super easy vegetable. Usually I will do both of these together. If you're good at multitasking while these cauliflowers are cooking, you could just start working on the cabbage and the tomatoes. Or if you're really good at multitasking, you could do one pan with the cabbages, one pan with the cauliflower. I don't know, as moms, we juggle a million things as is. I think this is like easy 1, 2, 3. We could juggle 2 pans going at the same time. And then within 15 minutes, you have a yummy salad. Yes, Becky, more questions.
Asking if it's cooked all the way through or is it still crunchy?
So that's up to you. I like my cauliflower to have a little bit of a bite to it. You can cook it all the way through. It's your personal preference. Because I cut this a little bit bigger than I usually do, and because I'm in front of the camera and a little bit of a time crunch, what I would have done is I would have steamed these up just a little bit more, the way I had added the water earlier, so that it would be a little bit softer. I see these now. I'm not sure if you can see what's going on over here, but yep, there you go. They are kind of half cooked. I would serve this warm, or if you like it more raw, and I'm at an angle now. Oh, my tripod went off. Okay. I would serve this warm, but you could certainly serve this at room temperature or even cold. But again, leave the lemon zest to the end. So how done you like it, how done they are, it's really how you like it. It's your preference.
Nina, how long do you need to cook it on the stove for?
So it usually takes me about 15 minutes to do this whole thing with a hot pan and smaller little bits of cauliflower. My pan happens to be, even though my heat is off, this particular pan stays hot for a long, long time. So it's actually, you hear it sizzling. It's still cooking right now. Which is fine. It's just going to be fun to clean up the bottom of the pan at this point because it's just caramelizing away. So I'll probably just add a little bit of water to deglaze this. But I think if you cut your cauliflower florets into 1/2-inch pieces, this would take about 15 minutes to cook. The bigger your pieces of cauliflower, the longer it's going to take to cook.
And someone's asked if the garlic is raw.
The garlic was raw. Yes, I crushed garlic and I did saute it a bit with the cauliflower. So it does get a little bit of caramelization going. I'm just going to, excuse me, just going to stir this a little bit because because my pan is so hot, it's even starting to it's still cooking over here with the pan off. But I happen to, I think when the garlic caramelizes just a little bit, it gets a little bit of sweetness to it, but it's not completely, now it is completely cooked, but usually I just have it just a little bit caramelized, so it has a little bit of sweetness instead of that sharpness. Any other questions, ladies? Really, that was so easy, right? Isn't this something that you would just whip up together and do? I mean, it's really pretty for a holiday meal, but this is great for any old Tuesday, any day of the week, if you have the time and the patience to cut up a head of cauliflower, or if you're going to just defrost your frozen cauliflower, really super easy. And I tell you, the ones of you who got the recipe, the picture on that recipe is the actual picture of the cabbage that I had done. So it really looks very nice. It makes a very nice presentation. And any other questions at all? Okay, wow, lots of comments. Do I have to read through all the comments, Becky, or are you moderating? And the fire is off, the pan is hot.
As usual, I have your back and you answered every question.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Becky. Much, much appreciated. Guys, it was so lovely to share this time with you. We were so excited to do this live, this Zoom for you guys. This is something that I do frequently for anyone who knows me or watches my lives, but it was really a pleasure to do this with SLC. Very excited. Tomorrow we have Claudia Bilderici, who is going to show us easy way to make a spectacular tomato sauce for pasta, and she's going to show us also how to make some fancy Parmesan cups that apparently you could fill in with anything at all. So that'll be tomorrow at 8:15. Then I'll be back tomorrow too, where I'm going to make a phyllo pie. And as somebody said to me, it's not my type, but I've made it my type. There is no recipe out there that you can't make a little bit healthier and a little bit more nutrition packed. We'll make some adjustments to the original recipe, and I'll show you how to make a cheesy pie for your main course for your Shavuot table. And then, as Becky said, on Wednesday, we have brownie, red swirl, red velvet cheesecake that looks spectacular. We're going to be drinking with Olga. We're having cocktails on Wednesday night. And then Thursday, we're going to round out the week with making challah. We're going to do hafrasha all together. And I think it'll be a beautiful end to a week of demos. So thank you so much, ladies. Any last minute questions before we go this evening? Becky, you know me, I can't read. You got me, Becky? Becky is still there. Becky Keda, please send us, yes. Send us your refuah shlema. Yeah, if we're going to be doing, when we do hafrasha, it would be lovely to have as many names as we could to keep them in mind at this time, at any time. Let's do this little extra mitzvah for everybody. So thank you very, 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 very much for joining us this evening. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.